One of the interesting things about teaching online can be getting to know your students personally in that sort of distance education and virtual learning environment. And there are some tricks for doing that. One best practice is to have sort of get to know me type of assignment at the very beginning of the course, where the students have an opportunity to tell a little bit about them, either what they're studying, they're passionate about, their interests, just to give the professor and the entire class an opportunity to learn a little bit about that person. Then throughout the course, that first initial assignment of get to know me can be interesting because you can see how much effort they put into that initial sort of activity. And that can really be sort of your first impression of the student online and can give you a feel of how they're going to be throughout the course. Now that can change, of course, based on the coming assignments and things like that. But one thing throughout the course that really helps with that is where the message boarding can come in. When you're using message boarding, it's a good indication of how much effort the student is putting into the assignment. A lot of online learning courses require at least some sort of message board discussion or interaction where the students have to post X number of times and respond to X number of posts by other students. Sometimes students unfortunately just do the bare minimum in that assignment and that activity, and that's a good way to gauge the students' engagement in the course and interest in the course, is how much effort they're putting into that. If they're doing sort of short, very general post regarding some of the content, like, oh, I like this work, or I don't agree with this, but aren't really elaborating, it's a good indication that they're not really engaged and again are trying to do the bare minimum just to get a passing grade. What the professor can do or the instructor can do is sort of poke them a little bit when they do respond, oh, this is great, or oh, this is wonderful. When they're doing these short little things, is say, well, what do you mean? What is so great about this? Or what don't you like about this? And really be on top of the message board environment and be proactive themselves as the instructor. So that creates more of a sense of urgency, hopefully, in the student that they need to elaborate more. In my experiences, I've done a good bit of professional development virtually, sort of hosting virtual learning activities where I'm working with teachers or administrators in K-12 education, where I've seen it firsthand, where maybe sometimes the learner that's not very engaged will post a sort of funny anecdote about the assignment or about the thing in general, really because they're either not comfortable with the content or they're just trying again to do the bare minimum and just sort of reflect generally. And that's where, again, the instructor comes in and has to sort of force them a little bit, force their hand at explaining things. Another good thing, indication if the students are engaged or not and really getting to know the learner, is what type of content are they posting initially? Are they just writing a short paragraph? What's the sort of the depth at what they're writing there? But also, if one of the assignments was to find a resource out, in the internet somewhere and post that to the discussion, is it the first thing they Googled and they just copied and pasted it in there? Or did they find something that really hits the activity, and then they explain a little bit about what that article or what that post may mean to them? That's a really good indication of getting to know the personality and really the engagement of the student online. There are lots of interesting things, hopefully, with message boards coming up and being more interactive, because some learners just don't like that message boarding system. One creative way would be to do video sort of blogging rather than just straight text, where the students can either post a screencast of talking over a presentation or just a direct video of them, sort of a YouTube style response to things, really to engage it a little bit more and take it to sort of a next level rather than just purely text. Because I think one thing that students, especially college level students, is they want it to be more engaging. They want it to be more interactive. They don't just want to write text and respond to things just through text and writing. That maybe they want to verbally respond to things and create some sort of collaborative space, like a Google Hangout or again a YouTube response to the instructor's post or somebody else's post.